Skol, a massive internal rift, is reportedly tearing through the Minnesota Vikings, and fans are demanding answers right now. Shout out to Marcus from Minneapolis and Sarah from St. Paul for keeping the conversation alive today. We are looking at a situation that could define the franchise's trajectory for years to come. Whispers are growing louder about a player who allegedly wants out of the Twin Cities, citing locker room friction and personality clashes that could derail our entire season. Why is this happening now? And what does it mean for our championship window? Hit that subscribe button and stick around, because we are diving deep into this bombshell report to uncover the truth behind these rumors. At the center of this heated debate is J.J. McCarthy, who, standing with the Minnesota Vikings, has become the subject of intense speculation across the league. An anonymous NFL general manager recently reached out to insider Jason LaCanfora, dropping a narrative that claims McCarthy is actively looking for an exit strategy. The reasoning provided is as explosive as it is controversial, pointing directly to the presence of Kyler Murray on the roster as the primary source of the tension. According to these league sources, the two personalities are supposedly failing to mesh, creating a dynamic that insiders describe as fraught with peril. The core of the issue seems to be a battle for attention and meaningful repetitions under head coach Kevin O'Connell. For a developing quarterback, being the focal point of the offense is everything, and the report suggests that McCarthy is struggling to adjust to a reality where he isn't the sole protagonist in the classroom. This, of course, raises massive red flags regarding his professional maturity and his long-term fit within the team's culture. We are hearing that these behind-the-scenes struggles were already bubbling up last season, casting doubt on whether the coaching staff can effectively bridge this gap. If these reports carry any weight, we are looking at a locker room that is fundamentally divided. Fans are rightfully asking how a team can reach the Super Bowl when the quarterback room is experiencing this level of internal conflict. This isn't just about football schemes. It is about the chemistry that powers a franchise toward greatness. The pressure is on the front office to address this before it spirals further out of control. This situation is arguably the most significant distraction the Vikings have faced in recent years, and it hits at the very core of our quarterback strategy. When you consider the implications of a player openly wanting to leave, you have to look at how this impacts the team's stability. If J.J. McCarthy feels sidelined or eclipsed by the attention surrounding Kyler Murray, the ripple effects will be felt by every single player on the field. The Vikings are currently navigating a high-stakes environment where every snap in OTAs is scrutinized. And this news only adds fuel to the fire. Why does this really matter to the fans? Because our entire championship window depends on having a cohesive unit that believes in the same mission. If the starting quarterback and his potential successor are locked in a cold war, the entire rhythm of the offense is at risk. Beyond the current season, this impacts our future planning in ways we are only beginning to understand. Can we rely on McCarthy to be the successor if he is already looking for the exit? Is Kyler Murray truly the long-term answer, or is this just a temporary patch? The uncertainty is staggering. Furthermore, the mention of Carson Wentz potentially moving up the depth chart adds another layer of complexity. If McCarthy is indeed unhappy, the front office faces a brutal dilemma. Do they appease his desire to leave and risk losing a valuable asset, or do they force him to stay and risk poisoning the culture? This is a defining moment for leadership in Minnesota, and every move they make now will echo into the 2027 season and beyond. The narrative surrounding J.J. McCarthy's maturity has taken a front row seat, and it is a conversation that no fan wants to have. LaCanfora's reporting suggests that the coaching staff has been less than thrilled with his demeanor, which is a massive concern for a team looking for reliable leadership. While J.J. McCarthy himself recently tried to downplay the awkwardness, comparing the situation to two students sitting on opposite sides of a classroom, the skepticism from league executives tells a different story. If the perception around the league is that a player is flaming out due to ego or lack of professional development, it makes it incredibly difficult for the Vikings to trade him for fair value. No team wants to inherit a prospect labeled as difficult or impatient. From the perspective of the fans, this is the ultimate frustration. We invest time, money, and emotional energy into these players, expecting them to prioritize the Skol brotherhood above all else. When a report surfaces that suggests otherwise, it creates a toxic environment that usually doesn't end well. We have to ask ourselves, is this report based on legitimate observations of his character, or is it just noise from rival GMs trying to stir the pot? Regardless of the origin, the damage to his public image is already done. The Vikings are in a position where they must either aggressively shut down these rumors with results on the field or start looking for an exit plan of their own. The margin for error in the NFC North is razor thin, and we cannot afford to have a divided house while our rivals are gaining momentum. Looking ahead, the consequences of this reported rift are far-reaching. The Vikings are sitting on a powder keg, and the management of Kyler Murray's contract and his future performance will dictate everything. If Murray plays at an MVP level, he becomes the undisputed face of the franchise, but the looming reality of him entering free agency leaves us exposed. If he decides to walk, we find ourselves back at square one. And if J.J. McCarthy is already halfway out the door, the team will be forced to hunt for a franchise quarterback in the 2027 NFL Draft. This cycle of instability is exactly what the fans feared when the roster construction began. The mention of potential future options like Mac Jones or other free agents feels like a band-aid on a gaping wound. We need to know that the team is focused on winning now, not managing the fragile egos of players who are dissatisfied with their current roles. If the organization decides that McCarthy is not the guy, they need to act decisively. Keeping a player who doesn't want to be here is a recipe for disaster. The locker room is a sacred place, and once the trust is broken, it rarely gets fixed. Every interview, every practice rep, and every sideline interaction between the quarterbacks will now be monitored by the media with a magnifying glass. This intensity is the price we pay for being a professional sports team, but it is exhausting for the fan base to endure. We deserve transparency, and we deserve a team that is fully committed to the goal of bringing a championship trophy back home to Minnesota. The question that keeps coming back to haunt us is whether the Vikings can salvage this situation before it ruins the season. If the coaching staff continues to favor Kyler Murray and McCarthy continues to view his situation as a high school classroom conflict, the Vikings will be forced to make a move sooner rather than later. The front office knows that a distracted team is a losing team, and they won't hesitate to cut ties with anyone who isn't buying into the vision. As we look toward the regular season, the competition for reps will only get tougher, and the pressure on head coach Kevin O'Connell to manage these personalities will reach a fever pitch. Is McCarthy's desire to leave a reflection of his own competitive drive, or is it a lack of commitment to our organization's philosophy? We need to hear from you. The future of this team is at stake, and your opinion matters as much as the decision makers in the front office. Do you think the Vikings should honor a trade request if J.J. McCarthy truly wants out? Or should the team double down and demand he proves his worth in a backup role? Are we overreacting to anonymous reports? Or is this the start of a total collapse in the quarterback room? Drop your comments below and let us know where you stand on this massive drama. Don't forget to like this video if you want the truth behind the headlines, and subscribe to join the strongest fan base in the NFL. Skol! We'll be here covering every twist and turn as this story develops.